the 2019 Italian Grand Prix qualifying session, especially that Q3, was just a nightmare. And, you know, this was one of those things where I'm watching it live, I'm watching the data view, I'm watching the onboards where I can, but I can't see everything. And I just don't understand why this is happening. And, you know, I'm reading a lot of news outlets, and I think either A, some of these outlets aren't looking and listening, and so they're just getting it wrong, or the other half is everyone knows what's happening, and this all is just like an inside joke. Like, not a joke in terms of this is like they're laughing about it, but the drivers know what's happening. And then some of the narrative, a lot of the narrative is that, oh, it's just held up by Hülkenberg. No, that's he's being scapegoated. And let me just say two things. You know, number one, I don't have a problem with any of these drivers at all, in any way, shape, or form. Like, not at all. I don't favor one. I don't not favor one. They're just grown men driving a car. And in some cases, young men driving a car. I'm just commentating on it and giving you the news as all fans. As I'm a fan just like you guys. And number two, this isn't in good spirit. This isn't in the spirit of sport or racing to be weaponizing this. So I'm not, you know, I don't like exposing a problem and just talking about it without a solution. I don't have a solution, but the objective is to make sure that people don't think that this is like, oh, it's an accident. And there's just a couple pieces of rhetoric that they know they're being recorded too. And so, again, I'm not picking on Leclerc, I'm not picking on Hülkenberg, but those are probably the two we'll stick to, and maybe a little bit of Vettel's, because as you'll see, some of these drivers probably could have done something about it, but they knew what was happening. And I think Vettel's was out of principle because Charles owed him a tow in terms of like who's going out first, and he wanted that, you know, he wanted the tow. And if we're not going to do this, and it's going to, maybe he thinks he's going to get it again later, but Charles was supposed to be leading Vettel. And it's pretty obvious why Vettel's pissed when you see the footage on board. But listen to how many times Leclerc's engineer, and I'm only picking Leclerc because he got pole, and he seemed to be the one pretending the most. It's like, what a mess. What do you mean? You were a part of the mess. You heard all of it. And a couple of these drivers, again, like Hamilton, I don't have any particular leanings towards or against Hamilton, but I will say he was one of the drivers that pretty much knew it was happening a little too late, and he did put his foot on the pedal the second he thought there was risk. And he was also proactively talking to his engineer, whereas I don't think Leclerc asked one single question. Even Vettel does too, but you can tell Vettel's frustrated. So Hülkenberg's is obvious. I won't pull up Hülkenberg's because I can't play a ton of onboard footage. They won't let me do it. It'll just get taken down. But it's important you guys see this, so I want to make sure to. That's why I'm waiting until the mark so I can start playing the video. Okay, so if I start playing the video now, we should be good on leaving it up. So let me just go ahead and show you Leclerc's footage, and then we will get to, after that, I probably will show you Hülkenberg's. Okay, so here's Leclerc's on board. Let's hit play, and then I'm not gonna just play it straight through. I can't, number one, but I just want to play a couple times so you can hear him. So at this point, he had already said, "Hey, we have 6 seconds." He's been sitting there for like 10 seconds. We go. So that was one of the ones that threw me off. Right before he went out, he said, "Well, we have 6 seconds." He literally sat there for more than 6 seconds, so he already knows he's in jeopardy. Which again, I don't think that's the problem, but I'm not going to go, it's actually annoying the amount of times he says it, but I think if you're hearing your engineer saying, it's tight, no gap, it's tight, and he's not making a move, and so he's saying, look, we got to go, we have to go. He certainly could overtake people. And again, I don't know why he says 10 there, but you see Vettel, and that's the point where Vettel's like, tell him to go, like tell Charles to go, because he knows Charles needs to tow him through. And at that point, and so he drops 4 seconds to 6 seconds. Vettel's waving his hand, like you can see him going, move, 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 move. And there's a point where Leclerc should be passing him right now, but he won't do it. And you can hear his engineer get a little bit antsy at that point right there. So let me pause it and go back when they're through that chicane. That's the point where they pass Hülkenberg, because at this point, I think Hülkenberg, when he leaves his garage, he says, look, his engineer says, remember, Nico, remember the plan. So on one hand, a little bit insidiously, the thought would be, well, was the plan to hold people up to protect this, what, 6th place spot? Was he in 6th or 7th place spot? I don't think it's that far, but I do think the plan was, hey, Nico, don't forget to go through the roundabout. So to let people pass you, maybe Lance pass you or something. So, because how would he know he's first? Like, that couldn't have been the plan technically. But anyways, it's Leclerc should be passing him to give Vettel the toe. That's the part I had a problem with. I have a problem with all the drivers not pushing, but Vettel is saying, look, like, he's right behind me. Tell him to come on. And it's at that chicane. Let's see. And you see Carlos Sainz go, okay, we got to go. That's when he drives past. His engineer actually gets on the radio and says to him, none of these drivers are making it. You got to go right this second. And you see him pass Vettel. And that's also when Vettel says, all right, well, you tell him to come up here because we can't. Like, he needs to get up here. And Leclerc won't go up there. And his engineer throughout this whole process, zero margin, zero margin, zero margin, zero margin. So I counted 9 different times. He told him, you have zero margin. There's 2 more. Like, he's telling him you got to go. And he's warming up his tires. I get it for safety. But at the same time, like, you're not going to make this. And then he gets on at the end of this lap, which... And right there, that's what I wanted to get into here. You can overtake Sebastian. Well, you should have been doing that a long time ago. And I think that's where I think the breakdown at Ferrari, that's really illuminated in that video. And if they're not going to let me play all 3 of these on board, so I'm not going to play Sebastian's. Well, I'll play Sebastian's just so you can hear him say, tell him to come on then. But the fact that, look, like... the side of the garage doesn't know that he needs to get up there to pull him through, because I'm not making that up. That's 100% understood. So let's say I want to get to the part where he goes right there. There's the first one, and he passes him like, look, he needs to go, and he won't go. So Seb's just goes, and I'll keep it on here because I want to show how Seb's is like, there's one. He's like, move on. Come on. My face is in the way. So let's rewind that just really quick. Too far. So he tells him to go. And then they speed up. The footage isn't going to be perfect, guys. Sorry about that. But he tells him to speed up. And then here's a part where he's waving them on. There's one, waving them on. And then he'll do it one more time. There's another, waving them on. So I'll go back over here. And let's just, here's the part where, now that's where Carlos Sainz engineer says, no, 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 don't slow down. So you saw him just pass over. Here's where, so that's the part I wanted to get, and I'll stop it there. And if you guys don't have F1 TV, you should, and you can go here. I'm not going to play Carlos Sainz because they definitely won't let me post this, but I need to stop there. And sorry, this is like me talking through it a lot, but again, that's the only way I could post this so you guys could see it, so it's a trade-off. But what he says is, tell him to come on then. Like, and it's just a breakdown between the garages. I think that they 100% should have been on the same team about that. But at the end of the day, it just bothers me that people are walking around going, oh, they all could have made that. They all could have made this at the point where Carlos Sainz slammed on the brakes to let other people pass. That's when his engineer's like, no, no, you got to go. All of those drivers could have sped up. They lost a 4-second gap just, messing around. So, and that was 4 seconds once they were already going. So I'm going to leave it there, but I just wanted to show you that. And if you guys are watching this video going, yeah, we already knew that. Like this, you didn't know this, Nick? That's fine. That's great. But I think some people are going to be gullible and be like, oh, this is just Hulkenberg, or don't believe this. Like, Hamilton saying this stuff. No, you could have went out. You could have went around people. All of them had something to do with this. The only people that didn't are maybe the people all the way in the back. But at the same time, they should have left earlier too. So I think, honestly, the reason I'm not on Vettel too much about this is because I think Vettel was okay with it. And also at the same time, Vettel should have, or Leclerc needed to tow him in. So I can understand that at Monza, and he needs to win this race too. So. And I don't like that. The only thing I don't like about Hamilton is that he's complaining like he didn't have a say. And then Leclerc was the only driver of the drivers in the front not actually even talking to their engineer. Like their engineer has to tell him. So I have a lot of problem with this whole narrative, and obviously Hulkenberg has a major. He is at fault for a lot of this simply because I think he led this off, and he went through the turnstile. Like he was willing to go that far. But I don't think he's any more at fault than anyone else. And Carlos Sainz was even at fault too. He played the game, but realized I need to go. So I'm just going to make that video. You could find this worthless or not, but I'm just going to post it, and you can find it useful and share it and subscribe to the channel, because I'll randomly drop a lot of videos that are not just race stuff, or at least straight commentary on the race and updates for that. So thanks for supporting the channel, guys, and I appreciate making you more content.